And to think that this car almost never happened. Imagine a world without a Mazda MX-5. Hello guys, welcome back to Car Obsession and welcome to another throwback review. I know it's been quite a long time since the last one. If you are new to my channel, firstly, hello, my name's Aaron. Thank you so much for dropping in. If you like what you see, please like and subscribe. Now, my throwback reviews are when I review a car from the past. Regular viewers will of course recognise the car here because it is Monique, my very own Mk1 Mazda MX-5. To be pedantic, she is actually a Eunos Roadster, meaning she was sold on the Japanese market. She was made in 1998, meaning she was one of the last Mark 1s to be made, but she was imported into the UK in 2004. This model is an S Special Type 2, so it offers a generous specification, including electric windows with driver's one-touch function, central locking, power steering, Mazda Sensory Sound System, air conditioning, Momo steering wheel, 15-inch BBS Alloy wheels, limited slip differential, Bilstein shock absorbers, front strut brace and thicker anti-roll bars. Also on the S Special Type 2, the Roadster badge was green to signify this model has the second generation of the 1.8 litre engine. The models fitted with the first generation featured red badges. Eagle-eyed viewers would have noticed that the original steering wheel has gone, as have the alloys. I do actually have the original steering wheel at home, but it was removed by the previous owner because he found it was a bit too chunky. Therefore, he would often get his right leg jammed between the wheel and the door. I did think about refitting the original steering wheel, but to be honest, I'm a little bit bigger than the previous owner, so I would have the same issue. Plus, I hate to say it, I think the original steering wheel is ugly. Sorry Mazda, but that's just my opinion. So I do have the original steering wheel. Don't know what I'm going to do with it, to be honest, but I'm not going to fit it to the car. In its place, I do have another Momo steering wheel, albeit an aftermarket one, which doesn't have an airbag, but I think it looks better, it's more stylish, it suits the car a bit more, and of course it is smaller, therefore I have a bit more legroom. In regard to the BBS alloys, sadly they were sold on before I got Monique. I'm not too sure if that happened whilst she was in Japan or whilst she's been living in the UK. So when I bought her, she was wearing a set of Enki alloys used for the Icon, Arizona and Phoenix models, and they looked okay, but I found the spokes to be a bit too thin for my liking, so I sold them on, and now she is wearing a different set of Enki alloys which were also used for the MX-5, although I must admit I'm not too sure which model off the top of my head, so if you do know, please do get in touch. And the spokes are thicker, I think it suits the car more. Of course the gold isn't standard and it is going to be quite divisive, but you know what? I quite like it. Well, of course I like it, otherwise I wouldn't have these alloys fitted to the car. I think the gold really contrasts the Montego blue paintwork really nicely, but I know it won't be everyone's cup of tea. Anyway, enough about the alloys. What is under the bonnet? The Mk1 Mazda MX-5 was made available with a choice of two engines, both of which were naturally aspirated 4-cylinder petrols. You had a choice of either a 1.6 litre or a 1.8 litre. There are some that prefer the 1.6 as it is more rev happy, but I personally prefer the 1.8 as it has more power, more torque, and of course it feels more meaty. Thankfully, that is the engine I have at my disposal. So let me pop the bonnet or hood, if you're watching this in America, and give you a little glimpse. In regard to performance, this engine offers 133 brake horsepower along with 114 pound-feet of torque. If you prefer that in metric, that is 155 Newton meters. Because this model is the S Special Type 2, this engine has got the improved 16-bit ECU and it also has a lightweight flywheel, which is all good and well, but how does this car actually drive? Well, there's only one way to find out, isn't there? So, let's go for a little spin. It's no secret that the MX-5 was not designed for out-and-out speed, so if you're looking for such traits, I'm afraid you will be disappointed. Although I've got the more powerful 1.8 litre engine, it will still take me just over 8 seconds to hit 62 miles per hour, and the top speed is around 125. So nothing really amazing. And you may be wondering what all the fuss is about and how this car has gone on to become the world's best-selling roadster. Well, the fuss is all about the way how it drives, the experience. Yes, the engine on paper doesn't look overly exciting, but it is wonderfully responsive. It is beautiful to rev out. And of course, you've got the gearbox. Now, there's a choice of either a 5-speed manual, or if you really did need an automatic, you could have a 4-speed automatic, which, sorry. Oh, that is what I'm talking about. Revving this car out is a really wonderful, pleasing, rewarding experience. But let me speak about the gearbox for a few moments. There was a choice of two. You could either have a 5-speed manual, which is what I've got here, or if you really needed an automatic, there was a choice of a 4-speed box. But as you can imagine, the majority of Mk1 MX-5s were bought with the manual. The 5-speed gearbox is beautiful. The changes are short, slick, snappy, and it works beautifully with the engine. The engine and gearbox combination is fantastic. They work together as well as Ant and Deck do. It is an absolute class act. Back to the engine. Yes, this is not a fast car, but some people will bang on about how it is a slow car. No, it is not. It's all about the way how you drive this car. Don't forget, it is naturally aspirated. Therefore, you need to work the engine hard to get their performance. And these engines love being worked hard, and they are pretty much bulletproof. They rev to about just over 7,000 revs, about 7,200, 300, and they are wonderful to rev out. So if you're going to change up at 4,000 RPM, then yes, the MX-5 will feel a bit slow, but it's all about how you drive it. You really need to wring its neck out. But change up at about 5,500, so I don't go over the speed limit, and into 5th. So this is what I mean. So about to hit national speed limit, doing about just under 3,000 revs. Okay, building up the power. Here it comes. Here it comes. The party started. Still going, and change up into 3rd, and that's pretty much national speed limit. So to really get the most out of this car, you have to squeeze every single drop of performance out of it. And yes, I know it hasn't got a lot of performance to begin with, and that's why you really need to. So I'm just enjoying this corner. That's why you really need to wring this car neck out. Hey, fellow MX-5. Yes, got an MX-5 wave. And that's another great thing about this car, something that I wasn't intending to speak about in this video, but the MX-5 community is brilliant. And I've said this before in other MX-5 videos I've done, but the great thing about this car is it is so accessible. It doesn't matter whether you're rich, poor, male, female, old, young. This car welcomes everybody. And it is available at a very reasonable cost on the used car market. So I have no problem recommending one of these cars. I really don't. Yes, I'm biased because I own one, but these are smile-inducing little cars. They are so magnificent. Then of course you've got the way how the car handles, which is arguably one of its best points. As I mentioned earlier, from factory, this would have had Bilstein shocks, but the previous owner took them out because he said they were a bit stiff, and if I am correct, I think he said the car was riding a bit low. So when I bought the car, it had different springs, well I believe they were different springs, and it had KYB dampers. They were okay to be honest, but what is fitted to Monique now are a set of Gasgold Pro coilovers. And the cornering is absolutely brilliant. It really is joyous. I think that's a great word for it. It is joyous. Another modification this car has is the roll bar, which I would advise because it gives you protection if the car happens to roll over. On top of that, It also makes the chassis more rigid, therefore it's flatter in the corners and you get better handling. Now I won't lie, a standard MX-5 is likely to have body roll in the corners, and that is a complaint Chris Harris had when he drove an MX-5 quite a few years ago. But despite that, the cornering is still really good. Speaking of corners, at each corner of the car I have a Michelin Pilot Sport 3 tyres, which of course wouldn't have been standard fit back in 1998. But in 2020, they are doing a fantastic job. The grip is very, very impressive. Yes, okay, the steering is power assisted, but that doesn't mean that it's lacking feel, because it still offers a good amount of communication. The weight is good, the feedback is good, and it's direct as well, which is exactly what you want in a car like this. As you would expect from a car like this, it is very light. The Mark 1 weighed as little as 960 kilograms, although to be fair, that is based on a 1.6. I've got the 1.8, therefore it weighs a bit more, and I've got the roll bar, so my car, with the air conditioning as well, probably weighs about 1,000 kilos, but it's still a featherweight, not quite as light as a Caterham of course, but it is more practical and easier to live with. At this point you may be thinking, wow, this is probably the most biased car review I have ever watched, and yes, I know I own the car, so I am going to be biased. So I will try to level things up and speak about some negatives, although that is actually genuinely very difficult. The car is very prone to rust. It isn't the fastest, as I've mentioned, but that's no secret, and it isn't entirely practical either, but you could just look at the car and realise it isn't built for practicality. Apart from that, there aren't that many drawbacks. It drives fantastically, it's very reliable, it looks great, and they just offer so much for a very reasonable price, so there aren't really many drawbacks. The Mark 1 MX-5 for me, it will go down as an all-time great, it really will. And to think that this car almost never happened. Imagine a world without a Mazda MX-5. I don't think I can. I don't think I want to. The MX-5, particularly the Mark 1, it is an all-time feel-good car. You would have seen many smiles in this video, and they aren't fake, they aren't contrived, they aren't put on, they are absolutely genuine. Monique, my Mark 1, she brings me so much joy. And I think that's what these kind of cars are all about. They need to evoke feelings, they need to stir up something inside you. This car, she feels like she has a character, a soul, and I know it sounds really soppy and really kind of cheesy, but it's true. And I think my t-shirt sums it up perfectly. It says, money can't buy you happiness, but I've never seen a sad person driving a Mazda MX-5. And I think that's so true, it really is. It doesn't matter what kind of mood I'm in when I get inside the car. I go for a drive and my worries pretty much dissolve. So there we have it, the Mark 1 Mazda MX-5, a car that has become an icon, and rightfully so. This car is the perfect tonic for these challenging and uncertain times. Every time I drive Monique, it doesn't matter what's going on in life, I just smile and forget about the world, and as a driving experience, I don't think I could ask for much more, to be honest. Thank you so much for watching this video. I do hope you have enjoyed it. If so, be sure to like, subscribe and comment if you want to. If you are subscribed, don't forget to click the bell icon so you get notified every time I make a video. But until the next time guys, be sure to keep up the car obsession.